Hello everybody, Lorien here with Tones and Tarot, and it's my pleasure to bring you this reading. Today we are going to be focusing on Friday's blood moon eclipse, which is an incredible moment in astrology. It's really very healing, and I think it's actually one of the better things that's actually happening in astrology lately. As you may know, we are currently in Mercury retrograde, and we will be until around the 20th of August. So make sure that you focus on getting all your stuff backed up. Don't rush into things. Don't buy anything new technologically wise if you can, because that can sometimes, be tempting fate for things to break and stuff when you've just bought it. So that's something that you need to avoid. But this Friday's eclipse is in Aquarius, which is a very free, kind of weird sign, but it's also humanitarian. They're looking to invent things for the greater good. They're very free thinkers, and there's little bits of stuff in there. So with a lot of planets retrograde, I don't have my list right now, but with a lot of planets in retrograde, it can be a time of restraint and reflection and trying to kind of slow down. I know Mars is in retrograde, Jupiter's just come out, but I wanted to have a look at each sign of the zodiac, one card for each sign, just to kind of go through and see which ones are really jumping out. But also, if you have your rising or your moon, you may want to have a look and see kind of what this speaks to you. So just a little bit about this moon first before I get into all that. So it's taking place in Aquarius, as I've just said. It's very brainy. I do think that it's kind of about reconnecting within your inner self and also celebrating what makes you different from everyone else. I think you may also feel like a lot of plans you're trying to develop, or you may have an idea for some other crazy scheme or something like that. So I do feel like there's a radical change or revolutionist or a mad scientist aspect of this. Now, because it's also an eclipse in that, I feel like it's a perspective one. So we're kind of having this transformation. So we do need to be focusing, I think, this month in particular, focusing towards gratitude, greater good. We may realise, because of this eclipse, how to show or what we can do to show, thanks to those who may have helped us. I also feel like there's acknowledging the good in us, the good in others, and also to do good, so like paying it forwards. And I do think that, Mercury retrograde can sometimes allow people to take things the wrong way and stuff, but ultimately I do think it's a very free-spirited eclipse, to be honest. I'm not getting any heavy energy. The only heavy energy I'm getting is really from Mercury retrograde, but this is the time to free yourself. Is to look at yourself and think, this is the things I want to change. Have these, like, boom, ideas for problem solving as well. They're really good at problem solving. All the air signs are, really. So I do think that this is going to be quite prominent for all of us, and we're probably going to be looking at humanity and looking at how we can do better, especially with this climate change that's going on. So hopefully this is something that we can all focus on. So I'm going to be using the Taramuka by Los Scarabeo, and for this one, as I say, I'm going to do each individual sign. So I'm going to do the air signs, then the water signs, then the fire signs, and then the earth signs. So I will do the timestamps below, but for now we're just going to do the water signs. If you have an air sign, we're going to do the air signs. So if you have an air sign, moon, sun, or rising, you may want to stick around and have a look at what comes up here. Alright, so we have Libra, Gemini, and the Aquarian here. Oh, okay. Well, it is very fitting that the major arcana card comes out for Aquarius. It's in there, so there we go. So with these, I feel like there's a tendency for growth, or there's a calling for growth, really, here. So in this particular card, Libra, this how this eclipse is going to affect you and how it's going to introduce you to things. This is very much about your harmony, your home, maybe even your marriage, the foundations as to what makes you you. It could also be feeling like there's a sense of stability that you want. You may not feel like at the moment your house is, what you want. You may feel like your foundations are very shaky because you're not really sure as to, or you're not content where you are. Now, I think that this full moon eclipse is very much going to be strong, and it's going to be in your favour. So you can look at this from a unique perspective, really, and you can see how this is going to play into your way forward. So you'll have some enlightenment going on, maybe just to say that you're not that bad off. You may have some qualities that other people lack that I think that you need to focus on, but also you are a humanitarian. You're very much a social justice warrior, and I think that this is what you need to focus on throughout the eclipse. I mean, what I can see from the next few months for you is very much about higher education. It feels like you're wanting to have some new beginning coming through, some sort of personal success, some success that makes you feel like you've achieved something. So this is definitely what's coming through for me here for you, Libra. And then Geminis. This is quite, this does represent an eclipse, so this is quite telling. In this one, you want change. And I think that this is basically about moving on from something that you may have actually invested a lot of time in. And you've probably put your heart and soul into it. And you just need to move on from it. It's something that you need to take a step back of and just carry on. I do think there's a little bit of escapism coming here. But for some of you, you'll be like, I'm happy to put that project to one side, I'm happy to do that, and I'm going to carry on to the next stage. It could even be something that you're kind of looking at a friendship that or a relationship even that you don't really want to do anymore because this eclipse has given you the insight into what you need. So sometimes in that respect it can be very sad, it can be kind of a shake up here, but I do believe that something, you're very dissatisfied with it, or you just feel like it's come to an end and you're moving forwards from that. Whatever it is, I do believe this eclipse is going to give you the balance to go through that, and also the coming through yourself and having that feeling of contentment that it is the right decision to be made. And then we have the Hermit. So the Hermit for Aquarius is quite a telling card here. I would say that the Hermit coming through is very much about your introspection, your searching, your guidance, your solitude. So if you could, I think that this would be a very good time to do some inner work. Look at the moon or do something that very much responds to your dreams and desires. See where you are and whether you're happy being where you are. Just kind of focusing in on what you really want from life, really. The imagination may be at a very high point. Your accomplishments may be called into question because you're wondering how much you've accomplished. I also see that there's some kind of foreign or abroad, something links to international coming up again for you. So maybe there's something that you really want to gain from this eclipse, how your previous self is actually going to be, transformed into a new one. So it could be a case of you going into a sense of space where you feel united or you feel very much connected to humanity as a whole. This really is going to affect you as being the sign that is in. So have a look over the next 6 months and see what kind of little turning points that you can see coming through for you there. So I'll just move these over and we'll go into the sign of water. Water signs. Whoa. Okay, so this is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Oh, okay. I'll actually turn those upside down because they'll get confusing otherwise. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Okay, so Pisces, this is a Temperance card. And this is all about balance, healing, a little bit of alchemy, mixing things that may not usually go together. But also it's about seeking the kind of give and take in everyday life. Your health may be having to have some attention paid to it. You may be working too hard, trying to drive yourself towards something that really doesn't need you to do it that much. You know what I mean? It feels like you're having to connect with your intuition a little bit more and conquer something, maybe your fear, or maybe something that feels like you're holding back a little bit. They're saying here, don't get too comfortable. For some reason, you should not get too comfortable about what's coming through, because everything happens. Change is inevitable, and I think you should, embrace change. It doesn't just mean change on the surface. It could mean a very significant change is coming through for you. So it could be to do with your personal life, or not just a job, like, oh, I'm just changing jobs. Something very significant is coming forwards for you for a change with this eclipse. And I feel like this is something that maybe you've asked for quite a while. They're kind of saying, don't rush. This is a rebirth. This is a calling. Something that you've been wanting is now wanting you. Don't fear being rejected. Just kind of come through with it and do what you feel is right for your soul, basically. So this is a really good card to have for you. And I don't know why it's gone really dark. So there we go. Got a little bit of light now. So that's kind of what I feel for you, Pisces. And then this one is Cancer. So this is the Knight of Swords. And this is very much about being hasty or making haste. And it could be that sometimes you are very quick to jump into something that you should maybe spend a little bit more time thinking about than normal. You may need to figure things out and actually develop something rather than just jump in with both feet. And I think this is very important for you. You can't just kind of go, yes, okay, that's fine, and then everything else is going to kind of tumble around you. This is something that you need to pay attention to, because otherwise you're going to be feeling like you're scrabbling to catch up too much. If you don't have a plan, that's fine, but just kind of have an idea as to where you're going. Don't just push through and think that everything's going to work out. I think that if you did do that, you may find that the next 3 to 6 months is going to be quite complicated. But there's definitely a group order coming here. There's a feeling of you're moving something, you're making movements in your personality, and you're actually getting some good energy to do something. It may not be the ideal thing, but it's something that you really want. So I would say that there's a great deal of things coming in your favor here that you can have a unique spin on it, or you can determine exactly what you want from it. And then we have Scorpios. 8 of Pentacles, you're hard at work. This is basically about hammering away. This is education, engagement, repeating it till you get it right. Refine, refine, refine. That's basically what I've just heard in my head. Refine, refine, refine. You need to make this manifest. You need to put your whole heart and soul into this. You want this change. You want this. That's all I can feel for you guys. It feels like there's something that you're very focused on, and to be honest, you should get it. You should actually receive this. It's something that you deserve. Not just because I'm a Scorpio, but you should actually get what you want here. And I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't, but it is again to do with your work ethic, and it could be to do with just refining it, keep going over it. The foundation that you have here is kind of built on your soul purpose for being here, like soul as in your human soul rather than S-O-L-E, your singular. So I do think that there's a connection coming in here, and I do feel that there's kind of this feeling of I need to put my whole self in it. But just remember to have your breaks, to keep connected. And I do think that if you do commit to this in the next 3 to 6 months, you're actually going to see a significant change. So fingers crossed, this is really going to help you. All right, and then we're on to the fire signs. So fire signs, okay. All right, Aries, nice. Oh, Leo, and then we have Sagittarius. So Aries, you need to make a decision. This is a Chariot. This is basically about making your head and your heart go in unison. There seems to be some self-assertion coming through here and some hard control, a sense of will that really does transcend everything else. They're calling me towards higher education here, some kind of special trip and spiritual development coming through. I don't know whether you have the room where you are at the moment to do it. And I don't just mean physical room, but in your head. You may be focused, or it may be occupied by a lot of different things, and oh well, it's sensible to do this, oh well, it's sensible to do that. Yeah, great, that's what everybody wants, isn't it? Sounds sensible. But there's something that seems to be an achievement that you want, like an achievement unlocked. That's what it feels like. Something about having some wealth and some games, you know, like not just video games, but just something that feels like the life that you lead is an adventure. I feel like career change is calling here as well over the next 6 months. You want to do something different, and it just feels like your sensible head is saying, no, 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 not yet. So you need to combine the two, see what you can do to please both your head and your heart. Because if you follow your head, all it's going to do is say, you know, this makes sense. Your heart's going to hurt. If you follow your heart, your head's going to go, you stupid, stupid, stupid. So it feels like you need to make a combination, the balance of the two over the next 6 months. Sudden change, yes, can be scary. But if you plan it and be sensible, like it wants you to do, I think it's going to be quite good for you. And then we have Leo, the Tower. Now this isn't always bad, but again, this is sudden change. This is about a release, some kind of revelation that where you thought was probably stable or where you thought was very secure, it's not anymore. It's kind of like you need to change, you need to have something different. There's kind of a spiritual practice that comes from here. Maybe there's something that you realize about yourself or others that you thought, you know, I'm going to be friends with this person forever, and they turn around and you go, oh, well, I'm glad I kind of saw that. You know, something that you see is kind of like a revelation of their reputation. It's something that comes forwards and says, oh, hang on a second, this is not the person I knew. It could even be that you look at yourself and you go, I am not the person I knew. So that can be scary, and that can be like, whoa, hang on, how do I rebuild myself? But that's the key. Over the next 3 to 6 months, you could be rebuilding yourself or your identity or your view of somebody else. And I think this is important because, you know, you are going to move forwards in a very strong sense of happiness, but it does feel like it gets off to a little bit of a shaky start. Not surprising considering the month we're in, Mercury retrograde, but just be careful of that. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this to me is very efficient, routine oriented, very material type thing. So the Sagittarians that this is for, I feel like this is coming for you for a very strong reason. It's saying to get organised, get things in a line, get organised. You're going to have to put your heart and soul into something. You're going to have to get wisened up to something as well. Something about side ventures, you may have to put them to one side. Side ventures, one side. It's just kind of push it to another, because it's almost like your social life is prepared to take over the next 6 months. And I think what they want you to do is more focus on your current experience. So don't focus on things from the past, focus on you now. You know, I think it's very tempting sometimes to focus on the things that we have and, you know, that kind of stuff, and oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do this. Just focus on the self right now. That's what it really feels to me. Something about your partner and business, and I do think that there's a lot to going through here. If you wanted to travel at all, it'll have to wait. That's what it feels like until next year. I don't think it's the right time to travel, but I do believe that there's a lot of happiness coming through for you. And that all seems to be what they want me to say for the fire signs. And finally, we have the earth signs. Alrighty, so what do we do? Taurus, Virgo, and then Capricorn. Alright. Okay. Taurus, 5 of Swords. Don't let anybody bring you down. Conflict coming through here. Don't let anybody steal your thunder. I think this is a very key thing, because a lot of you may be going through some kind of personal changes and ideas of what you want to do, but I think some people will be seeking a selfish victory for you, and some kind of ignorance is coming through from that as well. So be open to change. Give yourself a break, basically. The energy of this current moment will not be the same in the next 6 months, so you need to go with the flow of the tide, because if you stay in this energy now, you will not be prepared for what comes in the next 6 months, or within the next 6 months. So you do need to make things as you want them. Do things to the best of your ability. Believe in yourself, and don't believe the drama that other people try to create. That is the biggest thing, I think, that's coming forward. Oh, I need you for this. Oh, I need you for that. Oh, I need you for this. Oh, I need you. Just focus on you, snip some strings, and basically commit to being your best self. I do feel like you're needing to honor the memory of something, like honoring something, but your values are coming through here, and your hard control needs to soften. It does need to just kind of release the grip a little bit and just kind of sit contented and just be within yourself. That kind of patience with yourself as well. Don't need to rush. Just be free, just be nice. And I think you'll see the benefits of this Aquarius full moon within the next 3 months. And then we have Virgo. So this suggests to me a big change. Knight of Wands is very much about energy, passion, lust for adventure, lust for life. You're overcoming some obstacles right now, judging from the volcano in the background. But it does feel like you're bursting through hurdles rather than overcoming them. You're like smashing them to pieces, saying, "You're not in the way of me." And I do see this as a sense of maybe a temptation to run away, or a temptation to change. Could be moving house, moving country, escaping something. That's what it feels like as well, like, screw this, I'm off. So it could be that you're really needing to kind of move to somewhere else, or your health needs you to kind of change something about your current arrangements. It just feels like there's a generosity here that you just want to escape from. Like maybe other people are giving you lots of advice and stuff, and you're just like, this is overwhelming. Or maybe you're giving all the advice and you're like, this is overwhelming, because you're a very healing person. So many Virgos are nurses, so it could be that you need to focus more on the self. Like again, Aquarius, eclipse and everything is more to do with the good nature and the humanity, but you already do so much for it. You need to focus on the you. So if you want to escape, if you want to have a holiday, if you want to change your routine, if you want to go somewhere else, if you want to say no, because I think it could be that you're just like escaping from someone as well. So if you do want to do that, just do it. There's nothing here to say you shouldn't. That's what I want to say. And then we have Capricorn, the 8 of Wands. So this is very much about having that change, that movement again, the travel. Something's going to really surprise you. It's kind of like you're going about your daily business and then vroom, there's some change. So it could be that you need to prepare for this now. Actually, I do think so. Practice for it. Practice for the eventuality that you're taken by surprise. And then I think you won't be as surprised. You won't be as unprepared. You won't be running around like a headless chicken. I think this is something to do with career. Oh, they just made my throat close up for some reason. Hang on a second. What aren't you saying, Capricorn? What aren't you saying? That's what they asked me to ask you. What aren't you saying? Because if my throat closes up, it means that somebody's not being truthful. So either you're not being told the truth, or you're not telling the truth. And this is something that needs to come forwards here. I think you do need to speak up. You do need to speak your mind. You do need to tell the truth. Otherwise, when things get too quick and they progress too much, you'll be knocked off your perch a little bit. So I think that's what the main thing is. Make sure that you pay attention to yourself, what you're saying and what you're receiving back, because that, I think, is very strong. I mean, it felt like some fingers were pressing on my throat, so you definitely need to speak up if you feel trapped. You need to speak up if you feel like you are not in the right place. You know, just things like that really that could do you wonders to actually speak the truth. And to be honest, that's what I feel you need to do. But I hope that helps you all. That was very interesting to see. And if you do want a reading from myself about how this full moon is going to affect you, you can do. There's a link below to my website, or you can ask me email for a reading. It's lorientarot@gmail.com. But in the meantime, I will love you and I will leave you. I wish you all the very best of luck for this fantastic full moon. I hope you're able to see it. Let me know in the comments below how things go for you, and I'll send you many blessings for the next time.